Hello, everybody, and welcome to Infamous Interviews. Today, I am joined by the legendary Mick Strawn. And
Okay.
Mick, you have done a lot of stuff. Some people know about from A Nightmare on Elm Street sequels that you've worked on, and some people may not have realized that you worked on some stuff like you worked on Blade and you worked on the Fantastic Four, the Roger Corman unreleased film.
The mystery one.
Yeah, right. The so-called mystery one. Yeah.
I talked to Oli Sassoon pretty often, and he was the director of that, and and he bemoans the fact that it never got an actual release. And I said, dude, more people have seen that film than ever would have if you had released it.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because it's like the taboo element of it.
It's
Like,
it's
are we supposed to see this? Do we want to see this?
that's
On the
that's
myth
ex-
and the legends of that Fantastic Four, is it really this bad? Or like, is it so bad we can have fun with it?
it's hilarious. It has become its own entity, and and the thing is I think he likes. I can't tell if he likes to complain about it because of that, or if he just likes to complain.
Right. And it may be a little bit of both at
It's
this
you
point.
know what, a little yin and yang.
And a lot of people may not realize you had a very big little part in Boogie Nights, having some fun on that.
A big little part.
For all the innuendos out there, yes, a big little
Yes,
part on Boogie Nights as well.
exactly. That was such a strange thing. It was so weird to get that job, Um, to the way that I got the job was I would production design probably one, maybe two films a year, but then I would spend the rest of the year doing special effects or model making or all kinds of different things. I'm multi
Right.
talented. I'm multi untalented. Um,
You're like a Swiss Army knife, so to speak.
that's right. So it, how many blades can you dull all at once, right?
Right.
So so one of the things that I did is I used to work at a special effects house that did mechanical effects, and bullet squibs, wind, uh, strange rigging of things like hydraulics and pneumatics and stuff like that. Um, and I got into the office one day, and a script had come in that morning of a job that we were immediately had to like race across town and read the and get into the production meeting. And when I did, there's this thing that you do if you're going to walk into a meeting like that, and what you want to do is you want to have the script that they give you. There's always scripts at the door as you walk in, and so you take so that you have two scripts, and you read one underneath the table, and then you put another script up on top to kind of go with the read through, because
Right.
what happens in these meetings is the first AD reads the script, and he reads like a scene, right, and then stops, and everybody everybody asks questions, everybody explains, the director explains, what he want, the kind of looks that he wants. The DP gets in, and we talk about camera angles, and we talk about who is going to do what, right? And so if you haven't read the script, and that happens a lot,
Right. Yeah.
in this meeting, because there are people that just come on late, right? And so you're desperately trying to read underneath the table and listen to the script up on top of the table at the same time. And I'm about 2 pages ahead, and I read that Dirk Diggler drops his pants, revealing his 12-inch penis. And I just stops me. I just went, and I look up, and when I look up, I look across the table, and across the table, the prop master, who I knew, is looking right at me because he knows what I'm doing. He's waiting for me to get that part right. And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah. And here it is. And he reaches down and he grabs this like paper bag and he plops the paper bag. And there's 30 people here, right? He plops the paper bag down in front of him and just pulls the bag out. And there's this 12-inch, hairy 12-inch penis. Right there.
Like, and that has to be like a sight to see during the day. Like you're like, okay, this is my talking.
Let me tell you, especially if you didn't expect it. Like I didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, I was like 10 pages into the script. I mean, I had not been able to. I had like literally was reading as fast as I could. Right. And I go, huh? Yeah. And it's like. The first thing I was going to say was, well, wait, I don't do porn. I mean, I don't. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on.
Right? Did you ever hear those stories about the people that wanted to be extras in the film just because they love Burt Reynolds so much, and they did not know what Boogie Nights was about yet?
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's Jesus. It was there is a really long story that I tell about being there was a party shot that was this like enormous it was a 16, it's supposed to be like a 16-minute long shot, right?
Right. Yeah.
When Bill Macy gets out of the car, Billy Macy shows up in his car. He gets out of the car. The camera follows him through the party, goes all the way in, and all the time, he's taking a photograph and he's getting a drink and and he goes online and he's looking for his wife. And he goes back and he finally sees his goes all the way down this hallway and sees his wife getting banged by this guy on the washer dryer, right? Goes all the way back out to his car, gets his gun, comes all the way back. Camera's following him all the time, right? One shot. Now that shot took 16 hours. And let me tell you where I was during that shot. the two people that were in the room, that were in the little washroom, right?
Right.
Were screwing each other, right? And they're banging away, and we are sitting on the other side of the room. And by room, I mean like we were the room was 6 feet wide, and the washer. So I mean, this guy was hung like a mountain. I mean, he literally, it was like watching the Empire State Building go in and out. And I am sitting down on my ass, right? 30 inches away from like watching them just screw each other all night long. I mean, 16 freaking hours, right? It was the weirdest thing. It just, after a while, it just became, I don't. I mean, he had this huge container of lube that was sitting there. Whack. You get the lube going. It was unusual to say the least. And finally, Bill Macy does come through the door the second time, and we shoot our little staring guns to imitate him shooting the gun, right? But later on, I found out that they cut most of it out of this. They cut him coming all the way down the hallway out of the sequence. And and so I was interviewed by this guy, and I tell him the story. Like 2 years ago, I was interviewed for a book. A guy was writing a book about Boogie Nights, and I tell him this whole story, and I get a call from him 2 months later, and he goes, dude, I got to tell you, I want to apologize to you. And I go, "You apologize to me for what?" He says, "I'm not sure that I believed your story." He says, "Because that's just the weirdest story I had ever heard, you know." And he goes, "But I just got done with an interview with the woman that was in there with you guys." And she says, "Yeah." She says the two of us fucked straight for 16 hours.
That
And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And then
was that ever in the Guinness Book of World Records too?
I have no idea. I mean, you know, I think from a watching point of view, I should have been in the, you know, I mean, it was a record. It was a personal best for me. Let's put it that way. And then I was the one that built the device that sprayed the blood up on the wall when Bill Macy shot himself afterwards in that. And that was a tough night because we did that at the end of the night of sitting there for 16 hours. And then we got up, and I have to tell you something, man. Getting up and doing something after 16 hours of just watching two people of watching this penis piston in and out right in front of your eyes, 30 inches away from your eyes for 16 hours, you know, that becomes like a Fellini film, right? Getting up and doing something after that immediately is really hard to do.
Yeah, it's almost like you're becoming numb at that point of time.
Yeah, not everything is numb. I mean, you're just like, your brain is numb, your tailbone is numb. I was just, yeah. Let's just say this is the bullet hit by itself. The thing with the blowing up, it did not go very smoothly.
And that's an interesting aspect of Boogie Nights as well, because they had to trim a lot of that down to get it to an R rating. With some of that sequence when William H. Macy, did you know anything about how long it took them to kind of film that scene, or the editing process? Were you involved with that at all?
The editing, not at all. No. I mean, like I'm saying, it was probably a 20-hour day. That day by itself, you know, and basically that day essentially was 2 shots, right? You know, yeah, it was just yeah, man, it was like one of the most brutal days of filming I think I've ever had.
And you've done a lot of horror movies too, so that.
And I've done a lot of really brutal days of filming, boy.
And what has been some of your favorite films that you got to work on early on in your career? Because you got to work on even Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, right?
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
Actually, you know, I just recently, I just came from Arkansas where I was hanging out with R.A. McAuliffe, and Jeff Burr is still just a really good friend of mine. I think Jeff Burr is brilliant. You know, he's that guy has got a mind for film. He's a historian of film like you wouldn't believe. I mean, just the guy can tell you just I mean, all the way from the 30s and 40s, he can tell you every film and who worked with him, and at some point he's met them.
And you also got to work on Blade for a little bit, right? Or am I mistaken on that?
No, I did. I was well known for the blood sequence. I did the shower blood sequence at the beginning, which was spectacular. I mean, I've seen a lot of like blood raining down sequences since. I think that we did the best job of all of them.
Right. And how do you feel about the MCU trying to bring Blade into their universe as well? If you can speak on it. I mean, We don't have any idea what's going to happen, but we can at least speculate on how we think it may happen.
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I'm more involved in the nature. I mean, I don't know that I'm a fan of the MCU,
Right.
which is really interesting because the thing is I was kind of involved at the very beginning, with Fantastic Four, before it became, this glossy kind of thing that it is now. It has become its own animal. Let's just say that.
Right. Yeah.
I think that it could have gone a different way from the beginning. It could have been a little bit smaller and a little bit more interesting. It has become glossy, hard to follow, and the only ones that they do that I think that are any good for the most part are some of the funnier ones. So like I like Deadpool, and I like I liked the first Ragnarok. No, I liked Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok was lightning in a bottle, in my opinion. Yeah,
right. Yeah, Taika Waititi really screwed up on the next one.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God! You know what? But you know what? The thing is they MCU'd it, right?
Right. Yeah.
They really did. I mean, Ragnarok was lightning in a bottle. It was kind of it was like smaller, and it was kind of a more. It's funny from a designer's point of view. Ragnarok had a different look. It had a kind of character driven feel to it, and
right.
and not a universe feel to it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was kind of. I mean, I'm not saying it was a small film, but I'm saying that each scene had a smaller focus. And it was focusing on characters and humor, rather than. I mean, think of it in your head. In your head, when you think of Ragnarok, you think of the characters, right? You think of
right, yeah.
You think of Michelle falling off the end of her falling out of her ship, right? You think of him in coming into the room with the prison, in that weird circular prison, right? And you think of the battle that's just between Hulk and him and Thor, right? If you think of the whole film, you think of it in these kind of mano a mano kind of ways that were jokey, that were kind of like focused on those characters. I think that the MCU is at its worst when it tries to be big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it tries to create too many worlds at the same time.
Right. Too much stuff, too much things going different directions and stuff. I mean, even Guardians of the Galaxy, the best of the Guardians of the Galaxy is when you get down to 2 or 3 characters at once, having a dialogue or an interchange amongst them. I think the rest of the MCU has a tendency to get just so big that you just don't give a shit.
Right. And so, again, you worked on a ton of horror when you were coming up, and you're most noticeable for A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. So how was it like doing all the production design on that and getting to work with Robert Englund and the actors on that as well?
Robert's a good friend of mine, and he's an awesome guy. He's got to be one of the smartest human beings. I honestly mean this. He is one of the smartest human beings that I know. He's well read. He's super likable. When the doctor spanked him as a baby, he started yelling. He hasn't shut up since. I used to go in the trailer. I used to go in his trailer, and we would yap back and forth every once in a while, and they would try and kick everybody out when they got down to his mouth, when they had to glue the mouthpieces on, because he couldn't stop talking. He couldn't just he didn't have the ability to just listen. It's like I'm 100% that Howard Berger would have just as soon sewed his lips shut to apply the makeup, because it would have taken about an hour off of the makeup time.
Right. And you also have a book or a memoir about your time on those.
I do.
You want to plug that book?
Oh yeah, I have a.
Even though it's a few years old at this point, I believe.
Yeah, it is. But I said, the thing is it is just, the book is just for me to hawk. I just take it to cons, and people can get a hold of me and grab it. But it's called Behind the Dreams, or it's called what is it called? Wow. Hey, I like that. I forgot the name of my own book. Behind the Screams. Behind the Screams.
Yep.
Jesus. Okay, sorry, that was a bad moment. See all the white in the beard? That's what happens. That's what comes with the white in the beard. is brain just Now, Behind the Screams is about it's about Nightmare on Elm Street 4, because 4 was such an interesting beast. It was done in a very short period of time. It was done between February and August, so that it had all these practical effects, and it was and we literally went out and had everybody in town do. We had to break the effects down to everybody in town doing this different effect, and I pulled all that together, as well as dealing with the sets and sets and giving it a pretty specific look. The look of 3 and 4, I like that. That's my look. That's
right.
It's hard to define what your own look is, but between 3 and 4, you get an idea of what my look is.
And I think 3 is probably one of the better sequels of the franchise as well.
I think it is too, but I don't like it as much as 4. Is that weird? Is that a weird thing to say? That
no, I don't think so at all. No,
I mean 4 is such a likable film. It's there's something about it that it's the little. I can watch 4 and I can discuss 4 in all these little pieces, but 3 doesn't segment itself out as pieces as easily. It's more of a holistic thing, and it's kind of a darker film. It's
right, yeah.
It has a lot of overriding themes, the kind of a Christian theme in it, and all the rest of that, and it's a heavier film than 4 is,
And it could just be the soundtrack of 3 that does it for me as well.
Yeah, well, it's possible. There's a guy that you should look up sometime. His name's Kevin Benson.
Kevin Benson, okay.
Do you know who Kevin Benson is?
Kevin name Benson sounds a little familiar, yeah.
Okay, Kevin Benson did the music on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, and he did the Hidden. He did all of those early New Line Cinema films, right? And he is the one that kind of moved films from having a generic rock soundtrack to a specific, tied into specific artist's soundtrack. He's the one that brought on what's the name of the Dream Warrior song?
Was that wasn't Megadeth, was it?
No. The ones that did Dream Warriors.
Yeah. I know. Oh, gosh. The name is on the tip of my tongue. I can't get the name off right now.
Yeah, but he's the one that started to pull these guys like that, and like on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 to pull all these currently recording people, in as opposed to doing kind of like just background generic rock, which was really popular up until that point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever get a chance, you should get a hold of him and interview him. He's an interesting cat.
I would love to do that.
You know what? Remind me later. I'll see if I can get you in contact with him, because he is. It's interesting to see the stuff that he changed in the business. You know.
Right. And Mick, you yourself are also a podcast host. I mean, I've seen you do quite a few podcasts. So is there any of those you would like to talk about?
Well, you know what? Rabbit Hole. It's funny because I did I had Rabbit Hole for a while. I have Dream Warrior Review. I think that we've done like 350 episodes of Dream Warrior Review, which is basically me and a friend of mine, Kirk Thomas, just ranting about male dominated films. And every once in a while I get comments about what an asshole I am, which is absolutely unfair, because Kirk Thomas is the asshole. But Rabbit Hole, I just talked to TJ Bowser a few days ago about getting together, and I think that we're going to do another season of Rabbit Hole.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Which is interesting. It was a really popular. It turned out to be a fairly popular thing, but it's. I could only do it for like a year and a half or so before
Right.
Podcasts will drive you nuts. Just getting a hold of guests and stuff. I found difficult.
Yeah, it can be a hassle sometimes getting everybody's schedule in line.
Oh, and people are assholes, right? I mean, look, you've met me, right? You've met me. I mean, right? Assholes. We're just complete assholes.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right. So, Mick, do you have any current films that are getting ready to come out that you worked on?
I have I have a Canadian film that I did early this year, The Games Children Play, and I'm going to be filming the second one pretty soon. The first one isn't out yet, and we're going to start filming the second one. It was kind of an interesting a horror film about kids playing games, like Mary, 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 that kind of game. Yeah. It's sort of like all those.
It's kind of like a Truth or Dare kind of homage.
Right. It's all the Dare games and the stuff like that, and basically it's about a group of people that go in and try and reverse the connections into hell for that. I have The House in the Pines. I'm going to be working on sometime next year, and it looks like there's quite a few different things that I can't talk about coming up. So, but I still keep my hand in, and I get around, peddle my book, and I tell these tissues of lies.
Well, Mick, thank you so much for joining me on Infamous Interviews and Infamous Horrors today, man. It's been fun, and as always, keep in touch.
Oh, hey, you're welcome, my friend. Have a great day.